Welcome to our channel, Behind My Story. Please like, share, and subscribe.
I believe in the metaphysical world and that there are many mysteries that we don't understand yet, like souls, ghosts, and black magic. Are there really evil spirits who wish to do us harm? Well, I may have an answer for you. My name is Ralph, and I am 15 years old. My life became a journey to study the metaphysical world. My parents always told me that reading books about the supernatural world would mess with my mind, but I didn't care. My friends share my interest in the occult. I remember the first time we tried to summon a spirit. We drew a pentagram on the floor and placed black candles at the points of the star in preparation for the ceremony. After the ceremony started, we waited for a spirit to appear, but all we summoned was a small rat. Even so, we were afraid of rats, so it was still a scary experience for us, but not in the way we expected. In our second experiment, we tried to summon the soul of a girl named Mary. Although it was a fun ritual, not much happened. The power went out and we reclosed a breaker and the lights came back on. Then, we heard the voice of a small girl crying and the voice of some woman saying, "No one can get into my forbidden area." We all screamed and ran away, but then we learned later that this was just the TV that we had heard. But that doesn't mean that supernatural events never happen. Don't forget that. In our third experiment, we tried to communicate with creatures from the planet Uranus by sneaking into a clinic that belonged to a friend's father and connecting an electrocardiograph machine to a girl's hands and feet. I thought she was going to die, but she recovered. Now, you may say that I'm experiencing hallucinations and that all our failed attempts could be explained away by normal phenomena. But what I am going to tell you may make you change your mind and your notions about the afterlife. On Independence Day, we were traveling up north to visit our aunt. Along the way, we stopped at a gas station next to a gypsy camp. The gypsies were gyrating in some kind of wild dance to the rhythm of tambourines, as if they were doing some macabre ritual of black magic and voodoo. At least that's what it looked like to me. I thought it was cool and imagined myself living the life of a carefree gypsy. Among them was a woman with tattoos all over her body. As we pulled into the gas station, she was staring at me intently, and I felt strange, as if her gaze had affected me in some way. After stopping at the gas station, Dad and I got out of the car, and I was surprised when the tattooed gypsy woman approached me and presented me with a cute black cat in a small metal cage. I knew that superstitious people feared black cats and believed them to be omens of bad luck, but personally, I disagreed with them. Cats are cats, regardless of the color of their fur. I thought she was trying to sell it to me and asked her how much it cost. She told me that it was a present given to me for free. I thanked her and she turned and left. Dad finished filling up the car's gas tank and we drove away. My parents were surprised when they saw that I had magically gained a black cat in a cage, so I explained what had happened with the gypsy woman. Dad didn't like the cat's black color. He said it looked so dour and gloomy. Just as Dad said that, the cat turned its head towards Dad and hissed at him, as if he took offense at the comment about his fur. When we got home, I opened the cage and let the cat out. It walked around the flat and seemed to be looking for something. Mice, probably. I made it a cozy bed from a blanket and gave it some food. We played together for a bit. Though I had thought it cute before, its movements and features started to strike me as predatory or hostile in some way. I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but I shrugged it off, thinking that we'll get used to each other in a few days. Later, I began noticing that it had a quirky knack for disappearing and reappearing, as if by magic. At times, I would hear the cat meow as if it were glaring at something. But when I would try to see what it was looking at, there was nothing there. One evening, after visiting a friend, I went home and wanted to get some sleep. Normally, the cat would sleep beside me, but on this particular day, I couldn't find it anywhere. Suddenly, the power and lights went out, and all I could see was darkness. I heard something moving along the wall. I scrabbled around and found a flashlight and shined around. There was the cat. Its reflective eyes shined white, and its canine teeth loomed large like tiger fangs. Big and conspicuous, and ready to bite into something juicy. It was glaring at me as if I were that juicy something, but I yelled at it, and it retreated. My parents had come to see what was going on, so I pointed at Sparky. I had named the cat Sparky, and told them that Sparky seemed like he wanted to attack me. But they paid me no heed. Later that night, I was trying to go to sleep when I suddenly noticed that Sparky was lying right next to me. I broke out in a cold sweat. When I told my parents about Sparky's magical appearance at my bedside, they told me that I was just sleep deprived and that I would feel better after getting some sleep. I finally got to sleep and dreamed that I was in a dark house shining a flashlight around and that Sparky was getting ready to attack me again. I woke up with a start and found Sparky sleeping next to me. I told Mom about my nightmare, but she brushed it off as a bad dream or indigestion from dinner. Then one day, my parents had to visit one of our relatives, and so left me home alone with Sparky. I was really nervous. I tried to find Sparky, intending to return it to that darn gypsy woman, but it pulled its disappearing act again and couldn't be found. That night, my parents were outside when the lights went out again. Again, I heard a sound. Shined the light, saw Sparky with the white eyes and large fangs glaring at me as if ready to pounce on me and attack. Deja vu. I must have fainted because later I woke up to find my parents standing beside me, shaking me to wake me up. They looked worried. I told them about Sparky in the dark, ready to attack again. I asked where Sparky was, but they didn't know. We searched for it everywhere, but couldn't find it. After that day, I began feeling better. Had I been dreaming? Had I been hallucinating? Was it just my imagination? Was Mom right about my books on the supernatural messing with my mind? Sitting, I sighed and dropped my hand to my side. It fell upon something warm and fuzzy. Sparky was there. Some people are born to have great destinies, like being a famous scientist like Einstein or a famous actor or athlete. Other people are born to enjoy great things like love, riches, or glamour. And then there are the rest of us, those who struggle all their lives just to eke by. If we should by chance latch on to a great opportunity, it will likely be very difficult to hold on to it long enough for success. We can only take our best shot, or give up and not even try. My story is about a hero. Perhaps you have met, made fun of, or loved someone like him at one time or another in the past. My name is Sam, and I am 17 years old. I live with my parents and my twin brother, Randy. Dad was a carpenter, and Mom was a housewife, but Randy is the real hero of my story. You see, he was autistic. Unfortunately, society attaches a stigma to autistic children because they seem to live in their own little world, in a kind of private self-isolation, as if quarantined from life. Due to our family's poverty and lack of access to good medical care, we never even realized that Randy was autistic. We just thought he was introverted and naturally quiet and withdrawn. I was the exact opposite, extroverted and gregarious. For the most part, we left Randy to his own devices in facing his hard life in his early childhood. When Randy and I were young, we would play in the street, and I would be responsible for protecting him because there were also some children that considered him weird and, consequently, mocked him a lot. I thought of him as a little angel because he was so quiet, and he was such a dreamer. He loved music and would often close his eyes while listening to music. He would mimic a musician playing a musical instrument for an admiring audience. I would watch his face while he was listening to music. His facial expression would change from sad to euphoric. So I saved up some money and surprised him on his birthday by presenting him with an MP3 player. He was overjoyed. One day when I was outside, Mom asked Randy to buy her some necessities from the supermarket. So he wore some earbuds so he could listen to his MP3 hands-free on his way to the supermarket. Along the way, he came across some bullies who knew about his quirky personality condition, and they decided to bully him. The gang leader grabbed Randy's MP3, threw it on the ground, and crushed it under his foot, much to the amusement of his laughing gang members. Randy was devastated and ran home crying. When he got home, Mom asked him what was wrong, but he didn't answer. When I returned home, Mom told me about Randy, so I knocked on his door. When he opened it, I saw that he had a black eye. I asked him what had happened, and he told me. I promised to buy him another MP3. One day, I heard live music playing at school, so I entered a room to see where it was coming from. It was from Randy. He was playing a violin that someone had left in the room. He looked at me, but I gestured for him to continue playing, and he did. I was entranced by his wonderful, graceful melody. When he finished, I clapped enthusiastically for him and asked him where he learned to play music. He told me that this was his first time playing music. Wow! I decided to help him develop his fabulous talent, so I told our music teacher about Randy. When I returned home, I searched the internet to learn how to make him a violin. I watched many videos and was able to make a homemade violin in Dad's workshop. Our teacher decided to allow Randy to enter the school's music contest. When I gave Randy my violin as a gift, he cried and hugged me. When he started playing the violin at home, Mom was incredulous. She hugged him and cried tears of joy upon discovering that he had such talent. On the day of the music contest, several students were laughing at him as he was walking to the auditorium, but I encouraged him to ignore them and resolved to do his best. Once he started playing, the whole auditorium went quiet and still. After a while, I could see some students actually crying due to the slow, sad, seesaw strokes on his violin strings. When he finished, he received a thunderous standing ovation. He was clearly amazed at the audience's reaction, and he cried tears of happiness and pride. Afterwards, I hugged him, and he hugged me back. Randy still has a long road to hoe in life, but Mom, Dad, and I will be there to support him on his way to the top.